Okay, guys, this is the final part of the transition from the slides into the talks. The change discussion within part 5. This one is regarding the Mayan calendar stuff, the Mayan temple at Chichen Itza, the Peruvian temples that are there, and what they attain, what they aspire to. Basically, this is a mock-up of the actual Mayan calendar itself. These temples are built to the same spec. You got 9 levels of consciousness, and then you have you reach the top, or you reach enlightenment, as it were. So basically, these temples are in this area of Peru, in Brazil. Apparently there's no reverb around these sites. If you can clap your hands, your sound won't propagate. It will just die off there and then. So, which that lends itself to saying that there are forces there that generally aren't accepted or understood by what we generally know as what to be normal. All of these temples, by the way, are all exactly the same dimensions. They're all the same size. They've been found all across this planet, not just in Peru, not just Brazil. So there's ones under the water. There's Chilean ones, I believe, and I believe they've found a lot more of these things as well all over the planet. So to me, they're serving as a type of hub for possibly ley line energy. Now, a ley line is a line of force through the earth. If you were to pull back from the earth and look at it as a force grid, you'd see lines of force moving right the way around the planet. Similar to chi in a human body, if you're into all of that type of healing. We have forces of energy through our bodies as well. It's what acupuncture tie into, and more of the new age healing. The planet has them too. And basically we call them ley lines, or lines of power, and we have a hub pardon me, a hub or a crossing at Stonehenge. And generally speaking, you'll find megalithic sites with like stones or ancient stones around all of these hub points. It's like our ancestors knew exactly where they were, and they built these temples to represent where these lines cross, or where the energy is focused. Now, some of the thinking regarding this at the moment is the fact that it ties in with the Giza Plateau. Now, the Giza Plateau, again, there's a lot of energies manifesting themselves there at the moment. If you check out, again, the probably couple of Camelot websites, and you look into the Geomatrix teams that are out there and doing the good work out there, them guys are literally risking life and limb out there to bring the information out, and they are doing their utmost to get an understanding of what's taking place on the plateau at the moment. If I was to throw an educated guess at it, I would say the Earth is preparing itself for some sort of defence against what may be happening at the moment, which is us moving through galactic centre or galactic equator. And the Earth is preparing to the build up in energies to actually protect itself. And this technology was known to our ancestors. It's ancient in its chronology, and we are starting to stumble across this now. And as I said earlier, all of the stuff I've been speaking about so far has been talking about pictures of entities, there's mock-ups of entities, there's this, there's that, the alleged Roswell crash, the alleged this, that and the other. But when you start getting into the stuff at the Giza Plateau, quite quickly you understand that there's more going on here than meets the eye as regards spiritualism. There is numerous reports of high energy sources there regarding vibrational levels, which make people feel absolutely fantastic. It's the old analogy. It's like, for example, if you go into a room where everyone's partying, the music's blaring, and you're given a can of lager in your hands, and everyone's just having the best of times, you instantly dive into that atmosphere. You permeate itself, and it penetrates you. And you get straight into that frame of mind. Even if you're in a bad mood, it's one of the things, that laughter brings, and people like in a bad mood will generally look at watching comedies and stuff to just try and lift the mood. And this is why, because we do emanate energies, we do emanate our psionic resonances, if you will, whatever we're feeling, we can output it. It's the same as when you go into a room when someone's had an argument or there's been a lot of ill feeling in there, and you walk into it, and the old saying is everyone's said and heard in their lives, or you could cut the atmosphere with a knife in there, basically saying the atmosphere was dense, it was resonating at a lower frequency, so it felt heavier. It wasn't as light and as joyful as the more the lighter resonance was, or the lighter vibration. So therefore, this is what is being perceived on the plateau, and people entering these ancient sites and feeling really good or feeling really healthy or just receiving a lot of positive energies. Unfortunately, at the moment at the Giza Plateau, these sites are being pillaged illegally from forces that are best described as black ops, or forces against bringing a new vibrational level to the planet. You got an image of the Giza Plateau from the sky. You've got the next one is of the actual Great Pyramid itself. Now, to get into this, the Geomatrix team who were working on the plateau itself had actually found a new cave, a new entrance to a site called Cave of the Birds. Now, this site was then illegally accessed, and during that illegal access, there were 6 individuals killed. Now, I've wrote down here that the reports of 6 academics. This was in a village. So at the time I wrote this, I thought it was academics. It wasn't. It could actually be black ops people or villagers. I'm not exactly sure, but again, go and check the Geomatrix team stuff out via the Project Camelot website. They have their own website as well, the Giza Geomatrix. So if you want to check that out, again, it's amazing what these people are doing out there. And thanks again to Bill and Kerry from the Project Camelot team to bring that into the purview of the public. It gives people like me a chance to start piecing together puzzles and seeing or trying to understand the greater picture. The artifacts and technology again were removed at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning from the plateau, what was stated as US governmental forces. The revolution of this year was keen to bring in a lot of this stuff our way. The Ministry of Antiquities, whose name escapes me at the moment, he was apparently investigated and he was convicted of something or other. This led to him giving permission as a sort of slap in the face to the powers that be, to teams to go in. But it probably was on his behest actually that the illegal dig took place, or he did inform someone, so he may have been leaned on there. But he, whether he's under the cards or on the payroll of the man, we don't know. It's entire conjecture as to regards his motives at the moment. The Robotic AI that was used by the Japanese went in and they checked out an 8-inch tunnel, obviously incapable of having a human entity crawl through there. The fibre optic cameras that were used on that particular room found evidence of electrical cabling, which would suggest again that if we are to kick ourselves in our own arrogance, that there is a possibility that our ancestors that we believe to be nothing more than simple cultures may have been more advanced or as advanced as us, which is hard to really believe. But there's a lot of difference between what you see as technological. We've got these iPads, we've got all sorts of these nice little things that we carry around in our pockets, and what they are is representations of technological awareness and technological evolution towards greater technologies. What the people of the past were probably more proficient in was spiritual technology, and how they used their own souls and their own spirits to actually gain enlightenment and evolution through that, rather than trying to put it into a technological device. They just were all about using the mind and spirit to promote the cultures. Certainly, the older Sumerian, Lemurian cultures and the Atlanteans. If all of the stuff I've read on the Atlanteans and what's being said about the Atlanteans now is true, that they were a highly spiritually advanced race, but also technologically advanced as well, so the two can marry together. So these things are taking place at the moment in Egypt. We could theorise all day as to the regards of as to why. But again, we are seeing massive changes on the earth at the moment. We're seeing us move into a more spiritual way of thinking. We're seeing people waking up. For example, myself plodding along in life up to 5 months ago and thinking I sort of had a fairly good take on what was happening in the universe, and naively thinking that because that's us, that's the human race in a nutshell. We think we're on top of it all the time. When we're children, we think we know it all. Then we grow up, we realise we didn't know it all, and we still think we know it all. And then we move into a greater age, and then we realise we didn't have it just then either. And I don't think there's a point at which point the human race can actually say, even reaching years of 80, 90 years old, that you'd have it licked. I think there's a lot more to it, and if we continue along with our political structure as it is, with our educational structure as it is, the way we are brought down a lot of times for speaking up, with the way we are held down by people who fear us being better than them at what they do, the way we're put down by everyone who fear, as regards. If the guy's driving a BMW and I'm driving around in an old battered Ford Escort, then his perception is, in his mind, that he's actually better than me. It doesn't. The piece of steel on the rubber rings that he's driving around in doesn't reflect who he is. It states that he has to show off with product. It states that he has to go around trying to ingratiate himself with things, and that certainly has been me in the past, where I've gone and bought the latest computers or the latest hi-fi stuff just to make out that it's not really for me. At the end of the day, if I was going to be truthfully honest, it's for the people who come to my house and go, wow. And that thought's in my head as I buy these things, and we go, people are going to be impressed that I've got this. And I'm sitting there and I'm quite ashamed of the fact that that used to be me. I'm sitting here now quite ashamed of the fact that, I based my entire existence on the premise that I had to ingratiate myself to others to be accepted. This isn't the case by the longest chalk. It's just not. We will be accepted by those of us who are deserving of our acceptance, and that will be the case. If you show yourself love, gratitude and respect, then you'll receive it back. You will find that, again, to talk on the score of, you will find people falling away from you who just can't buy into the fact that you're not constantly giving anymore, and they are constantly taking. And the minute you want or you need from them, they'll disappear from your life because they cannot give, they cannot do that. It is not part of them, they're not on that level. And we're all on different levels. Again, everyone's doing things differently. Some people have been awake for a long, long time. Other people have been awake, only 5 minutes, and in my case, only a very short period of time. But in the time I have been aware of certain other things, the amount of information that's been coming my way via just everyday events, really. Some of the stuff I would border on magic. The stuff that's happening to me, you can talk about divine providence, but this is literally like winning the lottery 4 times a week. It's off the scale, really. So, to wrap up on some things and pull everything in together, I'm hoping that these series of slides has had the impact on people of maybe going to seek further truth down the line. I will be updating the site constantly as we go through with the latest stuff that's being presented. This was just basically these 5 parts just to get it out there into the public domain so people could actually see when we reference this stuff what it was all about. I'll go back and reference it then. Again, with the best of intentions, take care of yourselves, and until next time.